For nearly a decade, Jaleel White kept a secret locked away. No interviews, no tweets, no teary talk show appearances, nothing. But now, at 48 years old, the man who brought us the unforgettable Steve Urkel has finally decided it's time to speak. And what he just revealed about Malcolm Jamal Warner's final days? It's not just heartbreaking, it's haunting. These were not the words of a casual acquaintance. These were the last whispers of a brother in arms, a man who knew the pressures of Hollywood's spotlight better than anyone, and they were never meant for the public until now. We all knew Malcolm Jamal Warner as Theo Huxtable, the cool, witty teenager who helped define an era of television. But to those who knew him privately, Malcolm was so much more. A poet, a musician, a deeply thoughtful soul carrying a weight far heavier than his smile ever showed. When he died suddenly at just 54, fans were stunned, friends were shattered. Hollywood was left with one burning question: what really happened in his final moments? For years, Jaleel White, who grew up alongside Malcolm in the unforgiving world of child stardom, kept silent. But now the truth is spilling out, and it's laced with guilt, regret, and an eerie message that will make you question everything. Behind the scenes, Jaleel and Malcolm weren't just peers, they were survivors. Survivors of a system that turns children into brands, then refuses to let them grow into men. While the media liked to pit them against each other, two young black stars competing for America's heart, they were building something far more valuable: a quiet friendship, a brotherhood, late-night calls, pep talks after career slumps, encouragement during heartbreak, and a shared understanding that fame, for all its glamour, can feel like a gilded cage. Jaleel remembers one late-night call vividly. Malcolm told him, "We were never meant to stay Urkel and Theo forever, but we were meant to keep standing." Those words stayed with him. But here's where the story takes a chilling turn. Just weeks before his death, Malcolm's conversations grew heavier. He spoke less about work and more about legacy. In his final days, he performed a piece of spoken word poetry that, looking back, feels like a coded farewell. One haunting line stood out: "Leaving footprints in water, not just sand." What did he mean by that? Was this his way of saying goodbye, without ever saying the word? And then, the ocean really did take him. Before that day, before the water became his final resting place, Malcolm sent Jaleel one last message. A message Jaleel wouldn't even hear until it was too late. And when he finally pressed play, he dropped his phone in shock. What did that voice note say? And why has Jaleel refused to release it publicly? We're about to dive into the answer, so stay with me. And if you think more people should hear the truth about Malcolm Jamal Warner's final days, hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what comes next. When Jaleel finally opened that voice note, he didn't just hear his friend's voice, he heard a goodbye he never saw coming. The message was slow, measured, almost poetic. Malcolm spoke about the ocean bringing him peace. And then, the words that froze Jaleel in place. "If I don't make it to tomorrow, don't cry for me, bro. Carry me in your work." Can you imagine pressing play on your phone, only to realize your best friend was saying goodbye, hours before the world knew he was gone? Jaleel dropped his phone on the floor. He didn't move for minutes. The sound of Malcolm's voice just hung in the air. And then, he went silent. No Instagram post, no tweet, no public statement. While Hollywood rushed to post tributes, Jaleel disappeared. Why? Because this wasn't just grief. This was guilt. Weeks later, he finally emerged, but not at a press conference, not on TV. It was at a private, candlelit memorial in Los Angeles. No cameras, no reporters, just friends, family, and one empty chair. Jaleel walked in holding only one thing: Malcolm's favorite black fedora. He stood in front of the crowd, his voice shaking, and said words that would later leak online and send the internet spiraling. "This isn't just about Malcolm," he began. "This is about what we all ignored." He talked about the pressure of being young, black, and famous, about the way the industry locks you in a box, then tells you to smile for the cameras, about never being allowed to be broken, at least not in public. Malcolm used to call him in the middle of the night just to talk, or just to breathe. And one time, he said something Jaleel never understood until now. "Jay, if I disappear one day, promise me you'll tell them I wasn't angry, just tired." People in the room wept, and when Jaleel placed that fedora on the empty chair, you could hear a pin drop. One person secretly recorded the speech on their phone. Within hours, it leaked online. Twitter exploded. TikTok went into a frenzy. One viral comment read, "That wasn't a eulogy, that was a confession." But what no one knew was that the real secret hadn't even come out yet. Because in the weeks after his death, Malcolm's family made a discovery that would reveal his deepest fears, his most private thoughts, and a side of him that not even Jaleel had ever seen. It wasn't in his phone. It wasn't in his emails. It was hidden in a worn leather bag, zipped shut, and left untouched for years. Inside was a journal, and what was written in those pages will change the way you see Malcolm Jamal Warner forever. Stay with me because what's inside that journal is raw, heartbreaking, and shockingly prophetic. If you think more people should know the real Malcolm, drop a comment below and tell me what you'd say to him if you had just one more chance. And make sure you're subscribed, because you're about to hear the part of his story no one was supposed to know. The journal's leather cover was cracked, weathered like it had traveled through decades of silence. Inside, page after page of Malcolm's handwriting. Not the rehearsed words of a public figure, but the unfiltered thoughts of a man battling an invisible war. He wrote about fame, not as a dream, but as a cage, about being frozen in time. Forever, Theo to the world, even when his own reflection told a different story. In one entry, he confessed, "The industry raised me, but never really loved me. I'm not Theo anymore. I haven't been for decades, but they don't want to see that." Some pages were smudged almost as if they'd been written through tears. One nearly torn page read, "Some days I want to disappear, not in a dark way, just so I don't have to explain myself anymore." But then came something unexpected. Amid the heaviness were outlines for a TV series he wanted to create. A raw, unflinching exploration of mental health among Black men, inspired by his own life. He wrote, "I want to show that healing is messy, that strength doesn't mean silence, that love doesn't always come in applause." He never got to finish it. But the last page of the journal was the most haunting of all. At the very bottom, in small, shaky handwriting, he wrote, "If this ends, promise me someone will read this and finally see me." That promise is now being kept. His family is planning to release parts of the journal, maybe even adapt it into a documentary, so the world can finally see the man behind the character. But there's one more twist. While going through Malcolm's belongings, they found a small envelope tucked into the back of the journal, addressed simply to Jay. Inside was a single photograph of Jaleel and Malcolm, both teenagers, laughing backstage at an awards show. On the back, just 3 words, "Keep standing, brother." No date, no explanation, almost like he knew. One day, Jaleel would need the reminder. Malcolm's story isn't just a celebrity tragedy. It's a mirror held up to Hollywood, to fame, and maybe even to us. Because behind every role, every smile, every perfectly delivered line, there might be a truth we never bother to see. So here's the question for all of us. How many more will it take before we start listening? Before the goodbye comes too late? If this story moved you, share it. Leave a comment below telling me what you think Malcolm's unfinished series could have meant for the world. And if you believe more people need to hear the real story behind the headlines, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next truth we uncover. Malcolm Jamal Warner, you were more than Theo. You were a poet, a fighter, And to those who truly knew you, a brother. May the world finally see you